architecture could become. While many architects work within the established languages, our next speaker dedicated his career on inventing a new one. He proposed a radical, comprehensive framework of the 21st century, the parametricism, and slowly evolving to the world of AI with not only a discipline of design, but the whole ecosystem of how the design should work. That wasn't just a stylistic shift, it's a philosophical one, a bold and often controversial vision, which sparked a global debate and inspired generations. It takes immense courage to stand in front of the entire global architectural community and bring the new order. I think it's a bold statement, but I think it's a right one. His theoretical work is profoundly embodied in the legendary projects of the Zaha Hadid Architekts, and he's been instrumental in bringing some of the world's most visionary, complex and structures to life. Without a doubt, the true paradigm shifter, the privilege to invite to the stage the partner and authority of Zaha Hadid Architekts, Mr. Patrik Scumaher.
Wonderful. Great. Great to be here about Belgrade. And this is my third talk here, and I led the images talk. Yesterday I was grilled for 5 hours by 10 philosophers on my writings, so it was pretty intense. And the day before was at the university and was talking about parametricism and quite a few other things. So today I led the images talk mostly. But I just wanted to tell you, I mean, I met Zaha when she looked like this, and she had these kind of visions, and she wanted to kind of cover the planet with a new architectural order. Fluid, complex, and of its time. And so we went on and we generated a kind of big repertoire and across all scales, all building types, including urbanism, including interiors and furniture. And I think about this like the endless forms of nature in the sense that it's more versatile and rich and varied than all the previous styles put together. That's what parametricism and then tectonism delivers. But at the same time, there's a coherency. You can see what belongs into that paradigm and what is an older paradigm, as it were. So I'll just go through some of that. And we started off with the art world, and in the art world where we experimented and were recognized through our drawings, sketches, installations, and then went actually into art buildings and cultural buildings as our first breakthrough the National Museum in Rome for Art and Architecture, for instance, and the Science Museum, and in smaller interventions like in Hyde Park, the integrating old and new and wonderfully working into the landscape. Landscaping is a huge inspiration for the expansion of our repertoires, which becomes more landscape-like, like inorganic and organic nature, and then some other breakthrough cultural buildings with exhibition spaces, museums, National Library, and I mean, the beauty of a wonderful kind of encounter and event is what you project when you see these spaces, and you can imagine something is happening there. And our buildings are extremely popular. We are the most popular brand in the world for some reason, while we are also trying to do something different and strange, and we're landing at things, and our buildings are often used for movie sets. Quite interesting. So this is one in big Korea, and the popularity is unbelievable. The visitors, I mean, you know, it's sort of huge. It's only the Louvre in Paris has more visitors than this building in Korea, which has multiple museums, multiple exhibition spaces, has fantastic events like Seoul Fashion Week, etc. It's one of our cultural complexes in China. China was great. China allowed us to expand. When we were young, we got all sorts of opportunities, and still keep doing new cultural projects in China. Sometimes like this one takes a whole year from sketch to completion. I mean, that's unbelievable, but that allows you to build up a repertoire. This one just finished also recently in Shenzhen, Science Museum. Middle East, of course, yeah, Rabat. And more coming up now, cultural complexes and opera houses, etc. in China. This one in Shaoxing. It's a wonderful kind of site across two rivers. You have this kind of confluence of water bodies, and So we keep getting these wonderful opportunities, and we've developed obviously a repertoire, toolkit, algorithmic design tools, optimizing it and delivering that fast with also fantastic technology setup in China. Okay, so another one coming out in Beijing and museum. So the culture and you know, Morocco, we have wonderful opportunities, and I love it. We have it here in Belgrade, and we love integrating old and new, and wonderful opportunity, the Tesla Museum here. And it's already fully technically designed, and we're tendering now, and it will be happening very, very fast. So it's really fantastic to occupy space like that and bring it to life. And I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful destination. So let's enjoy that for a moment. The anticipation. I'm sure we all meet again there soon enough also with the great local architect called Q. There was a competition, actually an open competition. So we were able to win this. Nice exterior spaces, and we hang out territory. Nice social spaces. Okay, and then, I mean, but we also do places of work. This is a corporate headquarters. It might not immediately feel like that. In the desert. There's nothing else around. It's for waste management firms, so they have some kind of waste mountains around. Otherwise, the desert, and we make these tours and we go through our buildings. We have so many coming up that we have them to kind of make tours around the Middle East, tours around China. And yeah, it's a wonderful project. With courtyards and beautiful concrete shells. And the next one is coming up in the region, let's say extended region. This is in Uzbekistan, Tashkent. It's also a museum and research center. It's a exhibition center, and we have this kind of wind tower principle to ventilate this. And it's fantastic, iconic project for us, a major flagship project of New Tashkent, incredibly dynamic country, where more things is coming up. So after the Azerbaijan Baku project, there's another one in the region. But the region is great as well. We're just opening also a central bank of Kazakhstan, Astana. And again, this is a place of work in the desert. Well, it's in Saudi Arabia. It's a research center with all these shaded exterior spaces and courtyards and atria away from the sun, allowing the wind to flow through. It has office spaces, conference spaces, library spaces, and either open courtyards, atria, and kind of this field condition, hexagonal relation, so you have more neighbors, and it's about connection, intervisibility, inter-awareness, and thrown in a religious space as well. And yeah, so workspaces, that's where we work in Beijing. This is Galaxy, Soho Galaxy, 50,000 square meter, a lot of small offices, small home offices, Soho, China, small home offices. And it has co-working spaces, and most of the retail is food and beverage for all the office workers to come together. And we have these sort of wonderful interior atria and exterior atria. So we're doing atria and bridges in many of our projects, expressing this communication where you have architectural events above, below, and all around. And Vince just reminded me, was in that event, you see that big kind of crowd, and we had a kind of picture describing the project at the beginning. And so we have now our Beijing office of 70 people in that complex. It's kind of three-dimensional city nugget. And the client gave us a few other projects. I just pick out another one here, where we used the atrium to carve through a big tower. and more headquarter buildings, bridges and atria, also here, and a mixed-use project in Dubai, bridges, atria, to carve out and scoop out these deep volumes. Ram colors, bigness is the kind of inspiration for that, where you get these connections through voiding out and deep volumes. And there's a Hong Kong project, a bank tower with various terraces you can step out on. The core is pulled back, so it's huge kind of open floor spaces. And the top ballroom, Oppo headquarters in Shenzhen. And this is again, actually, I have to show it, maybe go back to this 1 second. What we've done here, we pulled the core out like Rogers always does, so the floor plan is totally continuous, and then we scoop a series of atriums through. So one of these towers is actually the core. And twin towers in Shenzhen where we have this kind of cascading terraces and retail and public zones into the park, and then huge multi-level bridges connecting again before the tower pulls up. This is actually right opposite the Oppo building. So if you come to Shenzhen, you'll see kind of, you can look at two of our major flagship projects. Of course, we always go ever more complex project by project to keep it interesting, to keep it challenging. And they're getting larger as we speak as well. This has been taking long gestation. This is the Central Bank of Iraq in Baghdad on the Tigris, beautiful location, structure and shading in one, not a glass tower. And that's where it sits. It's a beautiful opportunity. And then again, different types of workspace, the kind of university campus, but incubator spaces in Xiong'an, covering, connecting through these big roof conditions and making semi-indoor. So infrastructure, I mean, we have kind of train line pulling up into the mountains in Innsbruck, or a train station in Naples, big metro station, multiple Rhine crossing on different heights. In Riyadh, airports, like Dashing Airport. We recently also opened Sydney, second airport we're doing. We just opened Mumbai, Navi Airport, just not all of them here, and we're doing Addis Ababa Airport, so it's a great topic for us. Bridges, and then I'm moving on kind of, let's say, living spaces. Apartment tower with top double height social spaces and amenity spaces, and we're doing the interiors as well in this case. We love to do our own interiors, and sometimes that's why we founded our own interior architecture company, not to have that shifted to somebody else. It is a hotel, the Morpheus Hotel in Macau. A lot of wonderful atria spaces, and you pull through that with panoramic elevators to experience that. You have different restaurants and breakfast spaces, and at the top you have a pool and double heights, big suites with pools in that, the suite, etc. Sorry, moving on to that. And a small niche hotel, a boutique hotel in Rome, an old Renaissance house. And so we kind of internally kind of gone kind of exquisitely contemporary with all the geometries and materials, and there's also beautiful courtyard space. I don't have a full suite of images, unfortunately, but and the room is with the old kind of Renaissance frescoes and having the kind of craftiness and elegance to match this kind of sophisticated era with our works. And then, let's say, billionaires are sometimes good for something, they finance some interesting architectural research, and they give us kind of pioneer consumption, what we might inspire to. And this is the kind of house in Moscow where we pulled the bedrooms up so it sits in the forest, and you pull up the bedroom to look across the forest canopy, and we did all the interiors, everything. And fantastic. And this is a hotel in Croatia, so oh, sorry, this was mixed up. This is the guy, the client, and trying to enjoy life on a new level, let's say. And there's another one, a forest house, which doesn't pull up. And uses this kind of interior, exterior relations and kind of sculpting of furniture. We love it. And then we had the opportunity to do a number of villas in Costa Rica on these kind of hills overlooking the waterfront, and working with these shells and terraces and pools, dream houses. So today I thought the lecture would allow us to have an experiential approach, a dream approach, but bringing, of course, all the new technology to bear to make these spaces happening. And these lovely projects, and then you similarly in Saudi Arabia, they're going wild with so these kind of experiencing the landscape, the raw landscape around Neom, and with these kind of interventions, observatory, and you can see on the top right the kind of tower. These are crazy projects, just for the hell of it, as to have a kind of feel that you feel alive in the landscape and in the universe. But of course, we're doing most of our work is more down to earth and working urban fabrics, the so-called urban projects for the knowledge economy. So this idea of having an undulating landscape, not flattening this, and having a soft grid, and let the skyline flow through. And then this is not for us to all complete, but we did the first series of kind of 10 blocks, and the curves running through in plan, in elevation, again bridging to connect. And that's what happened 25 years later. So we started in 2000, as the build-up where other architects picked up and did the soft grid with the soft curvature. And it's a kind of intense knowledge economy hub with an ITC hub, a finance hub, a biomedical hub, but a lot of residences, hotel. We feel it's a real city, not a kind of industrial park fenced in with car park surrounding it, what these projects used to be. So we're quite proud of this as an urban master planner to set something up for other architects to come in. And some of the other things where we're looking for strong urban form and identity, where you have orientation and differentiation, where you can follow vectors of transformation as an axis and a kind of semi-concentric field, and then the skyline emphasizes this, so the correlating, deep correlation between large form all the way to kind of massing and detail. And this one we designed every single building, so we've built up the power to generate variety of functions. These are a lot of office spaces, cultural spaces, residential spaces, a huge plate covering a highway, and this is about 25 buildings or more. Every single building we've designed to deliver kind of one unified vision of that, and it's nearly finished now. Some fun things are letting a whole of these volumes bridge and hover and cantilever, and in exhibition cultural space was the first what we built. So this is Chengdu, Unicorn Island, so it's an incubator, startup culture. I mean, they're doing a lot in East China, the knowledge economy startup kind of hubs outside the major cities. And we do similar concept. This is for Miami, a university, private university for Brazilian investors on Miami Beach, or big project like this where you'd like to kind of let a building radiate out and structure a whole kind of district, if you like. And so we have many of these urban forms where you can see there's differentiation, there's variation, there's a strong form and identity, and you can, it's not kind of garbage spill or, let's say, isotropic grid. Both would be equally disorienting. So you can naturally flow and navigate a space like this. You can see quite different fabrics, quite different zones. And then working with landscape as well. These are all these kind of incubator, knowledge economy expansions in China and Singapore, and making and integrating urban form, landscape form, public spaces, terraces, outdoor spaces, an expo site, etc. So we're running with this a lot. You see kind of how you tie together across multiple blocks something which integrates and has some kind of center and periphery and some order and directionality. And so there's plenty of these. So it's a big part of our work, and we're winning a lot because you want identity, you want kind of strong form which structures an area instead of things kind of disintegrating and become illegible and unnavigable. And so this was the big project for Tencent campus, and also harbor redevelopments, and then kind of reinventing urban fabrics, not kind of mega blocks always and huge towers, but something which is more intricate and more close to the ground, but also a lot of exterior spaces, terraces, etc. So we're developing these fabrics, and again, I mean, the big playing fields are China and, let's say, Saudi at this point. And it's just fun to just try to invent and find these kind of satellite cities. These are like resort cities, let's say, but people are meant to live there also in Neom and find something which fits the regions, fits the climate, which fits the materiality, and doesn't kind of, doesn't kind of, you know, if the dust and sand blows over, it doesn't dirty the place. So these are the kind of projects we love to do, and also difficult side where you have to create something which crosses a huge highway, cuts through. How do you do that? How do you make a strong form which overcomes these kind of cuts? And integrating, you know, a number of towers into this big dish. That is Moscow. We had so much fantastic projects in Moscow, and I hope we get back to it soon. It's a fantastic market for us as well. And so this is what we're doing. A little bit in Zaha Hadid Architekts, but how are we managing to do that and keep rejuvenating? It's because I'm teaching at the ADR for 30 years, and I'm teaching with ex-students and, of course, current staff, building up teams. And so this is New London. We did 3 projects, 3 teams working together for a year, and developing this kind of activation east of Tower Bridge with, you know, these all topology optimized exoskeleton spaces and a kind of new dense urban environment. When London is so conservative, there's only the square mile, which is intense. And currently I'm working on a mega building where we'll be putting 500 by 500 by 500, inspired by the line, let's say. I don't have the results yet, but so here you get a handful of students, teams of 3 or 4, generating a whole cluster, modeling everything, rendering everything, and it's potent. I mean, and that's where you can learn, and then they come into the office and help us do more. And that's what you can do. This is quite detailed. There's another version of this, you know, differentiated further east, another kind of satellite city, new town extension. I mean, East London has a lot of that, and you see the sort of integration of deep relief and shading elements, bridges, atria, typical. Or something like this, very, very strong urban form, connecting the 2 sides of the river in the dockland area, and making something which is highly differentiated and intense and articulate, and everything belongs together and yet being quite different. And then we do sketches like this for new city foundations in the libertarian space. A place called Praxis in Sicily, and high density, low rise fabrics for the, you know, like the startup city. And in Roatan is another kind of libertarian foundation in Honduras, where we do these kind of waterfront clusters, but there's a specific story about these are very small units, and it's very communicative. People can share terraces. There's co-working and social spaces. So this is the idea of using parametric modules and using a platform which is like a dating site where future buyers can meet each other, communicate, select voxels. Everybody sees who is selecting what, and then saying, I just want to be resident, I make these 4 or 5 or 3 or 1 into residence, these will be an office space, this will be a cafe, and you know, and then it agglomerates in a kind of gamified participatory process of under free market agenda. And so that's actually the first round has been happened. Unfortunately, politically, this project was a little bit kind of under attack. So, I mean, it's tough. Politics paralyzes everything in Europe, and then you find these moments of escape, and then the politics catches up and wants to clamp down that as well. But I mean, this idea, we're also running with it in the Middle East now, in Sharjah. And so it's incredibly proliferous and fast to design complex arrangements, or allow people to design, because with these modules, and they're fully detailed, you can kind of generate these detailed solutions and many, many different variations of this. And at the same time, the subtext is who wants to share a terrace, who wants to share a gym, and who wants to be next to me. And so you get these synergy clusters and friendship networks. You can actually generate community, because in reality, if you talk about residential communities, they don't exist with a random selection of people. You usually see each other as a disturbance, but this one is where you kind of find each other in the process of that. So these are then outcomes out of that. And we have different versions of this, and this is the idea I wanted to show, and that is we now in doing this as a actually multi-user, massive multi-user computer game, or let's say metaverse, where you can experience and communicate and meet people and go through the project. And we did this with epic games where we saying reimagine London. So we have a waterfront close to Millennium Bridge, or close to opposite Tate Modern, theoretically, and we've detailed this fully. And then we developed this game. We have an in-house game developing team, but we have Epic. And this is hugely successful. There are hundreds and thousands of people playing with this as an archive of results. We delivered the modules. And it's something where you also can explore this area, and you can go in and meet people and play together and build a waterfront city and drop these modules, and then they get kind of AI rendered afterwards, and you can, photograph them. And I mean, at the moment you can't use them, but I'll tell you more later, we have a metaverse where we're inviting competitors to then stay with their projects and use them. So for me, the metaverse is a huge thing, not only in this sense facilitating actual development, also anticipating development. Some of our clients want that they maybe use the conference center already, or use the exhibitions. We do all our exhibitions on digital twinned. For instance, because we started having them in COVID in Shanghai and Beijing, now we have a huge one in Shenzhen, and we're doubling up everything and bringing it into our metaverse. And we also did, during COVID, we started, Liberland, which is bordering on Serbia, on the Danube. Ilichka, the founder, is a friend of mine, and we developed this master plan for him, and we instantiated first as a metaverse, and there's a community of Liberlanders, and they're usually a lot of libertarians and crypto companies want to be a kind of crypto ecosystem, crypto tech hub there. And so we have DeFi Plaza and NFT Plaza and an incubator building, and the kind of Liberland City Hall in there. And we've built this first, and now it's incorporated into our bigger metaverse. I'll show you later. But we had a lot of events there where we had conferences with 25 speakers from all over the world, different crypto projects and libertarian projects has booths, and you can roam around, look at the video, pull away, talk. It really works like a conference. It works really well. You meet people, and I meet future investors from Israel, for instance, to do this. And I gave my own talks, and we had our own separate space where you can see about the project. This really works. And it is the future as far as I'm concerned. And we can use everything. Parametricism is flourishing in the metaverse. I think most metaverse projects are parametricism. The other thing, through AI, you mentioned AI. Just Google AI architecture, I would say 80% is parametricism. And that is fantastic. I think it shows the desire, it shows what people want. It's tough to do it, but AI helps. And so I think it will roll out eventually and take over, because it is the most rational and sophisticated and more versatile paradigm of developing solutions. So these are then also the metaverse will have, there will be these metaverse spaces and institutions when every corporation or every design office or every charity or anybody, a museum and university, once they have all their virtual spaces on top of their website and their buildings or in substitution of both of them, they will aggregate in virtual cities. That's what I believe. So we're talking about also metaverse urbanism. And so Metrotopia, as we came up with after Lieberland, Lieberland is now fully integrated into Metrotopia as one of the hubs. And Metrotopia is actually dedicated mostly to the designer ecosystem, to all design disciplines, to all architectural brands, design brands, I mean firms, schools, conferences, like we had the Virtual Venice Biennale, the Virtual Chicago Architecture Biennale, we have top architects displaying in there. And there's these different parts, Lieberland, ZHA City, and the main incubator district, if you like, and we had many kind of displays already there. So there's going to be automotive, there's going to be fashion, it already is, interior design, and we have, you know, auditoriums, you gather, you have events, you make presentations, we have various tutorials with various schools of architecture in there, and you can roam around and you see the city beyond, and you can, but also it's good to concentrate in a single building. There's Sue Fujimoto is in there, Kokino is in there, Yun Studios in there, Philip Yuan, MAD has a project in here, so is OMA, etc., etc. And this is our own interior architecture gallery, which you can, the detail of photorealistic rendering with kind of pieces and surfaces and architectures is fully satisfying, and you can have all this geometry in one map and roam around in it at will, talk to people, show them around, get close, and explore. We have a photography exhibition there. We now have an AI in architecture kind of swarm exhibition, etc., sorry. And you can this is fully replicated, some of our bathroom designs, or actually a full news house across 3 levels replicated inside here with all its details, all its content. And it's wonderful to display, but also discuss, bring clients around, show it. We had a fantastic fashion designer here from Beijing, Central Academy of Fine Arts, head of fashion here in Miu. We brought in her kind of intricate dresses. There also, of course, you need fashion for metaverse avatar skin. It's a huge topic, but the same designers will do both kind of real world and digital world, and these identities cross over. I think corporate identities and spaces will cross over. I don't have that here, but I have lots of space where it's designed inside physical buildings, huge screens and windows into virtual worlds. The continuity of both virtual and physical designs is a big topic. So usually gathering here there's some professors debating and discussing, presenting the projects, Q&A, then moving up to look at the designs, look at the videos, discuss it. And we have, ex-student of mine from the GSD doing kind of fractal architecture, and you can swap that stuff out, and you can roam around, fly around, drone perspective, or speed around, but you can also teleport to different places. And we had there's a kind of drone flying inverted car project, Belgrade Industries. They launched here and at the Dubai Airfair at the same time. It's fully photorealistically rendered. They don't yet exist in full scale. They have a half-scale flying thing in reality, and you can see some of the other projects in the background. I've cut this short, so that's what we're seeing. I can see we're talking to Audi, we're talking to Porsche, we're talking to everybody. And we don't have enough time, and we're looking for investors. This is Ross Lafkov, the world champion of industrial and furniture design. And he designed his own kind of museum, and we brought many of his pieces in there, wonderful staircases, etc., into that, his museum, which is floating above, but is also a miniature is inside our incubator building. And you can see the amount of rendering, everything is reflective, and it's a lovely kind of experience. So we have, we can visit that, we can discuss things there, kind of little talks inside, and it's stunning, and it keeps expanding the amount of geometry you can bring in. And you just open this on your laptop. It's all pixel streamed. You don't have to low ingest the whole model. You can navigate, you can animate things, sections through it, exploded exo, information overlays. So for design, it's absolutely the thing to communicate. And of course, then this metaverse itself becomes the design condition. So this is Lieberland. We originally only had the incubator building. Now we have the whole Lieberland city. You can roam around. They're using the parliament, inverted commas, And this is Zaha Hadid city. So it's a snapshot. In the meantime, we have kind of double amount of buildings. We have many of our buildings in there, and you can roam around them and you look at them, and it's just wonderful. It's just fun. You can, this is our mountain museum, Reinhold Messert Mountain Museum, and you can overlook the city, and then you can kind of you can jump in. Some of our sjajna project is the Schumacher project. And of course it's a collage. It's kind of this is our China segment with this is the exhibition bridge we've done, and Wuhan Towers, Beijing Towers, Shenzhen Towers, they all come together in some kind of CBD kind of simulation. This is the Costa Rica villa pulled into the landscape. And you just can explore, and it's great, of course, to show your portfolio to clients and let them loose in that. But it's also great you could use them to meet. They have events there, have lectures there, throw up screens. For the clients to use it. That's the upper building. And that's the way you get. You're using Unreal now as a rendering machine and as well as AI, so it's very kind of potent. And we have all these models because these are built projects, so we can kind of have the nth degree of detail if you wanted to. And of course there are limits in the total. There's engineering in the sense of polygon counts and refresh rates in metaverse design, but it's something where we're just showing here our portfolio, but the next stage you'll see this is also just virtual architectures. And what's the next stage? That's what we're thinking about, and that's why we use again the school AADRL, where we've done a number of metaverse projects. Metaverse urbanism, and where you can say, okay, what if this is only there for the metaverse, not anticipating physical construction, or maybe it connects up with the physical space. Of course, we still want to see ourselves, and we have some anchoring of gravity to orientation. We don't really kind of flipping around, and that will be disorienting, and you have to kind of use the competencies you have from understanding urban spaces and buildings to find each other, to find the situation, etc. But eventually it will kind of also liberate itself from some of the tropes and typologies which we have. So this is, for instance, and you can now kind of light scan all urban fabrics. This is hovering over Bedford Square at the AA. This is meant to be a virtual Bauhaus, a design school. And so I can locate it virtually and cut this short. So you can zoom in, and there's a whole kind of world inside of the design school itself. So different departments, there's a fashion department, industrial design and architecture design department. And you can show your models, show your dresses, roam around as avatars, meet, discuss, and we have built tools in the world where you can start sketching onto these. You can throw up a new screen and drop in models. We have tools. We have both the Unreal Engine team and the Unity team, where we also have these virtual, Beijing virtual office, which we use to meet and sketch on 3D models. So this is student work. And of course, it's all parameters, and what else would it be? Because that's where you have to maintain legibility in the face of complexity, where you have gradients, where you have variation and gradual transformation and complexity and density without collapsing into visual chaos, if you like. And there's lecture, theater, seminar rooms. Different parts of that. Wait, let me get it out of here. Okay. And then, of course, I've now been instantiated as an avatar, so facial scanning, my voice, I have all my writings uploaded into a kind of large language model, and I won't show you that here. So we've done that with the whole kind of class, and we kind of all replicated into the virtual AA museum. The director of Siropoulos was himself a student and worked for us, and so we all kind of really exist. You can scan spaces like Covent Garden and place things into it, overlay things, AR, VR. Because one of the projects has a pavilion off in, and this is, we saw the whole kind of Bedford Square has been kind of scanned. You see the school hovering above. This was a project of MTech emerging technologies in the square, which we just scanned one to one. Tried with a lot of, fidelity. And you can go into the AA and you can see what's possible. This is a lecture on, we place some model. This is all just scanning and ingesting it and working on top of it. And you'll see later our DL studio is so dense with models, but it comes through. So this is our DL studio with kind of palimpsest of models of the last, 25 years. And Theo has been scanned and instantiated as the director of, current director of AADML. Yeah, let's play the noise.
Design practice. My work focuses on innovative approaches to architecture and design, exploring how technology and creativity can intersect to create new experiences.
NPCs.
If there's anything else you're curious about, feel free to ask.
So we then want to see these kind of wormholes and windows into the virtual version of the extension, let's say, of the A. Okay, so one second. So we intend to bring these into Metrotopia. We intend to make a competition where everybody's invited to the young architectural firms to build their own headquarters, and then you get 1 year free located in Metrotopia next to others, and you can use it to host events, to show your models, show your projects, have seminars, etc. And this is also AI integration, by the way, so we can prompt, images, throw them up on the screen.
There's a lecture that was more democratic. That came from came from 2, 1. That was more democratic.
So, and some of the things I've been thinking so much, we had the last 15 years, we've done responsive environments, shifting, sensors, actuators, interaction, learning, furniture, and some of this will happen now in the metaverse because it hasn't been able to push this out into the real world. We have, of course, interactive art installations for the last 30 years. Nothing happens in the real world, but because you have to think it through with the real functionality, because these spaces function just like the same events will have to be delivered, same constraints and social interaction protocols and demands would be placed on this, and we can make it work. And if it works there, we can also extend it back out and influence back out the... can you put the music up as well? Because there's one of the metaverses virtually between New York, San Francisco, and Paris. It integrates industrial design, fashion design, and architecture. Wait, and one second. Okay, let's enjoy this and then invite you to explore the metaverse. It's great for young architects because you don't need much of a track record. The design issues are very, very similar. Same challenges, functionality, organizational tenants, legibility issues, semiology, but not physical construction track record. If you leave that behind, you can be in the forefront of that very fast. So the students are the top metaverse designers. Of course, we hire them and then we doing well to them. So I think it will take over much of the internet and so the market will be absolutely massive. It's an avalanche of work for all of us. Because it will substitute so many websites, so many buildings, or any organization that is either a website or a building will be our client. I mean, that's this group of the architects and industrial design architects. No longer the graphic designers who've been dominating the web. Now it's going to be our work. It will be us. I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Wow, what a way to close this.